You're
Hello,
listening
everyone,
to
and
the
welcome
Cricket
back to
Podcast.
the Cricket Podcast, where we're doing any other business and a little bit of a mailbag part of the show. If you're watching on YouTube or, well, yeah, YouTube, hit like and subscribe. If you're somewhere else, probably just hit subscribe. Ross,
Yeah.
we have a selection of any other business.
Hmm.
Should we just get into it? I mean, the big any other business is England's ODI squad for Bangladesh. Um, we deemed it not worthy of a full segment. Was that the correct decision?
Yeah, I think so. Like even some of the players aren't turning up. Like that's how much it matters. So yeah, we're on a white ball tour of Bangladesh. Nobody has yet secured the radio rights or the TV rights for it, as far as I'm aware, in England. So that's how much they're saying that this is worth. And this is maybe not the first case, but it's very much something where you're starting to see evidence or real evidence of the shift in power between kind of franchise cash and kind of country cash, because the likes of Alex Hales, James Vince, Liam Dawson, Sam Billings, Tamar Mills, they can make more money playing T20 cricket in the Pakistan Super League rather than playing in some of the T20s in this tour or even the ODIs. And yeah, Rob Key has turned around and said, you know what? It is what it is. This is the world we're now living in. And yeah, they're letting these guys go, and it gives opportunities for other people to come into the squad.
Yeah, Tom Abell's the big one. I think that people won't have heard of, or will have heard of, but will maybe not have seen play for England.
Yeah, Somerset lad, very good against spin. Not
Um,
really real weaknesses, really. Captain down in Somerset as well. So
I think the only interesting thing here really is that it's a World Cup year, and England are putting out a side that is probably quite far from the 11 they'll put out in the tournament. Whether that really means anything in the end, I don't know. Whether they'll learn. Bangladesh are their own worst enemy to some extent in this. Like Bangladesh, really, England should be taken over a good team, and it should be an interesting series. But I don't think there's any guarantee that the pitches will be at all good. Like
no.
they could be really, really terrible. So, like, what has Joe Root got to learn from going to Bangladesh? And we had a question in, didn't we? Actually, we got questions in a minute,
Mm.
but one from our patreon.com/the cricket pod, from
Yeah,
Kartik
Kartik.
asking whether Dawid Milan being selected here means the end of Joe Root's career. And I think it's literally that they're just like, no, Root's going to go to the IPL, then he's going to play in the Ashes, and then he's got to play at the World Cup.
And
So
they've got the New
yeah,
Zealand tour right where it
yeah.
overlaps. So
So what's the point in burning out our best batter? Like
yeah,
just like, and I think there's probably a couple of others like that. I wouldn't even be surprised if a few players dropped out between sort of now and then, or at least sort of didn't play that much. It's a reasonably full bowling lineup, so yeah, good for England. I hope the series is all right. White ball series of Bangladesh, though, it's not. It's not the
it's not
most thrilling cricket, is it?
no. But yeah.
Yeah. Item two, Charnapal 200. What do you think of this?
Well, it's interesting then bringing Shivnarine and Chandapal back into the side, but it's clearly paid off. Yeah, no, obviously it's his son, and it made me feel quite old actually. And yeah, Chandapal is the first person to get. Well, I think it's Craig Brathwaite has the last 11 Test centuries for
Yeah, it was
West
something like that.
Indies,
It was
and
like Gale at 12 Brathwaites, and
yeah,
now there's another guy.
a double century from Chandapal, and it's quite late. And the 300 run partnership between Chandapal and Brathwaite is the highest opening partnership in West Indies Test match history, breaking a 53-year record held by Greenwich and Haynes, which is just
That's pretty fucking cool.
insane.
Yeah.
So I stole that from
Um,
Twitter somewhere. Apologies, but yeah,
yeah, look, we don't do all of our. I mean, that's research,
yeah,
stealing from Twitter. No,
yeah.
it's modern research. Yeah, I'm happy for West Indies. They had a bit of a shocker, didn't they, in Australia? Not the last team, not the first team.
No,
No, they are the last team. In fact, are
and,
they the last team?
and they are
They're not even the
and
last team. South
they
Africa are the last team. Yeah, so good to see them bounce back. It'll probably be a draw that test, won't it?
There's been a bit of rain around,
Yeah.
but yeah, they'll give it a good go. But yeah, it was quite funny looking at the scorecard. It was like 100 odd, 200, then Soddle for I
It's
think maybe 20 from Mayers.
in a way, it's a little bit of an argument for slightly more tiered structure, I think, to Test cricket as well. It's like just because you can't beat Australia doesn't mean you can't play interesting matches against, relevant opposition, have good careers and provide entertainment. Like you don't actually have to beat India or Australia to make it worth your time to play the format. Australia, West Indies v Zimbabwe is quite an interesting matchup. Zimbabwe probably the underdogs. It'd be nice for West Indies to be the overdog for once. Get a little bit of experience being on top. They score quite slowly in this one. When they look back on it, I think they'll probably say maybe we could have put our foot down when we were on 320 off 115 overs. But yeah, good for them. Next on the list, SA20. We're reaching the conclusion now. Temba Bavuma is back in, and he actually did okay in his first match. Heinrich Klaassen got 144 balls. And the Mumbai Indians, Cape Town, or my Cape Town, depending on how you want to say that, have been bombed out the tournament. Any of those points interesting to you?
I think the Klaassen bit is actually quite interesting. So if you think when Sunrisers picked him up, there was quite a lot of chatter that maybe spending 5.75 crore is what my brain is telling me, around 6 crore on Henrik Klaassen. It wasn't the best investment, and actually seems to be coming into a bit of tasty form just at the right time for Sunrisers, really. And we know that the South Africa 20 is a bit of a feeder league for that, as they're owned by those the same franchises. But I think Sunrisers fans have a bit of a wind in their sail when it comes to this. And it was great to see someone literally do really, really well in that and literally bat another team completely out of the game. Was it 254 they hit? That is a monumental target.
It was mental, yeah.
And then Cape Town's an interesting because they've not only playing at kind of probably the best ground at Newlands, they've also got kind of the most ridiculous star-studded bowling lineup in particular. They've got Dewald Brevis, who is kind of coined as the best youngster coming out of South Africa. Rassie van der Dussen, who all of Twitter will tell me is a great T20 player, but he's not really. Unfortunately, just hasn't really worked out for them. And I think some of that stuff has to come down to some of the decisions that have been taken from Rashid Khan with his captaincy in terms of bowling. Rashid Khan has done okay, but the game moves on. And I think if you saw 18 months ago, 2 years ago, Rashid Khan is just like, how the hell do you play this guy? And now there's so much footage, he plays so much cricket, people are used to playing against him. And I think sometimes you get, he's not a busted flush like Kuldeep Yadav was, but there is a little bit around being a bit more.
A bit hot take.
But I think just being able to. I don't think he's had the impact on this tournament that he thought he was going to have, and I think that is because people are more aware of what he's about and showing a bit more intent, and I think that's a good thing for both the franchise leagues and for Rashid Khan, as Rashid Khan will adapt and he'll get better and we'll have an even better player on our hands.
Yeah, I think he might have had a few bad games. I don't think he's a natural captain. Got to say that. I think he's cost Mumbai points. I also don't really understand why they're so infatuated with Odean Smith and using him in every high leverage situation they possibly can.
Well, if it didn't work for Punjab, it's not going to work here.
There's one more game left in the SA20. Pal Royals v Pretoria Capitals. If Pal win, then they make it into the playoffs. If they don't, then it'll be Sunrisers Eastern Cape, Johannesburg Super Kings, and Pal Capitals. Not Pal, every freaking time. Pretoria Capitals. Who Pretoria have smashed it.
They've absolutely smashed it. They've played really good cricket. They've adapted well to the bonus point system. I thought they're really, really good. Yep. But they've still got the format, haven't they? I saw Dan Weston was tweeting about this the other day. The first place fourth. So it's like it's old school playoffs championship.
So I thought it was just top three.
First
confused some leagues.
Yeah, so first place fourth, I think, is what I was reading. There's no eliminator. There's no kind of boon for finishing in the top spot, is my understanding of the league system. So,
look, you've said that now, and I'm going to go with you. If you're wrong, then
I'll have my comeuppance.
You will.
And I also think Yeah, the last bit, why you're probably looking for that. Bavuma, again, we know that kind of being good in ODI cricket and being good in Test match cricket doesn't kind of translate typically to T20s. But when the game is 2 days later from when you've hit like a century, actually, or a few days later, like it's not too bad. And I'm glad to see he got picked up. It was an absolute shambles that he didn't. And teams were crying out for an anchor batter. How many times did you see teams, 50 for 5, 80 for 4 kind of thing? And yeah, Bavuma hits a half century on his second game after I think it was a first ball in the first one. So yeah, well done him.
Yeah, he got a first ball, but that happens. Yeah, you're right, Ross. It is exactly as you said. So,
Okay.
what do you want? A prize of some description?
Yeah, maybe. Should we get on to questions?
Yeah, let's get them up there. Literally, the spinning disc of questions is spinning as I talk. First question from Claire says, is it on Sky? And this pertains to our UK viewers for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. If you're unaware, it's BT Sport. So, I don't know. Don't know what you want to do. What's to do about that? But it's on BT Sport. Random Cricket says, how much will Marnus average? We're going to get through these questions pretty quickly because we've overrun slightly. Over or under 45?
Under.
Under. Yeah, I think 45 probably aimed a bit high there, didn't I? Amit Dubey, why every time Australia comes to India with a bunch of left-handers, or why do Australia always come to India with a bunch of left-handers only to get bamboozled against our off-spinners? Why do they do this, Ross?
I don't know, Amit. I'm afraid. When they're still bringing kind of Schweppes along for the journey, yeah, one of those things.
It's so the actual reason for this is basically because you get loads of seam bowling in Australia, which means there's an advantage to being left-handed because it's quite hard to be out LBW to a right arm bowler bowling over the wicket if you're left-handed.
So like it.
There's about a 3 or 4 run boosts your average just by being left-handed because one of the main dismissals for top order batters is eliminated. In India, being left-handed is barely any advantage because, well, in fact, it is no advantage at all probably because everybody can bowl off spin. I don't just mean that like everyone in India, everybody in the world, if you tell them to bowl spin, bowls off spin. Like it's now imagine that in a filter upwards until you end up with Ashwin at the top. Like you got Ashwin at the top, then you got like 15 guys below him, all really good at off spin, playing first class cricket, getting out left-handers for fun. That just isn't a factor in Australia. So you get more left-handed batters, score more runs, get in the team more often, and you don't really have horses for courses, do you, in international cricket? So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do. They'll probably go with Renshaw, but yeah, if they only had 2 left-handers and one of them was Khawaja, I don't think it'd be the end of the world. Khawaja and Warner, they're opening the batting. They're going to see some seam. It's not the end of the world. If they then throw in Renshaw, it gets a bit dicey.
Yeah, my money's on them picking Hanscom because of that.
And Green might be back for the second or later test. Ali Zafar says, something I've wondered for a while. If there are 2 or 3 day tests, should the administrators allow for a flexible schedule and move the next test forward?
Why not?
Well, I think no.
Dynamic scheduling. Well, this
is the thing I think is a problem for Test cricket. Like nobody knows when the game. So this series, we didn't talk about it earlier on, but there was supposed to be a day-night test, and I don't know. At some point in the last month, they were just like, "No, we're not going to do that."
This is why. You could just be like, I want to play some games in Sri Lanka. Do you have any space, by the way, Sri Lanka? Yeah, okay, we've got a space next Tuesday. Can you fit us? It's like a hair appointment in some of these places. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's done. They should, when they do the Future Tours program, they should put the dates in, and they should, if you're going to do a day-night test, put that in, sell the rights in one package, and then this is ridiculous. BT agreed, to go back to Claire's question, BT agreed the deal to show this test series yesterday. This is the biggest test series in cricket in terms of numbers of eyeballs, in terms of the best versus second best. The historical precedents, maybe the Ashes is bigger, but if you're actually looking at the number of people and the what is riding on a series, this is the biggest series we've had in Test cricket for ages. And in cricket's second biggest market, arguably third after Pakistan.
We're 3 days out. Going, yeah, we'll sort this.
we've sold the rights 3 days out. It's preposterous, and like nobody knows whether one of the tests is going to be day night. Like, come on, we've got to do better than this. We've got the sport to be taken seriously.
If we're upping our
stupid.
professionalism on this podcast, why can't cricket do it?
Ben Stevens, is there pressure on Labuschagne to have a big series?
I'm not sure there's pressure. I don't think it kind of works that way when you get to kind of elite level sport like this. I think Marnus will just be Marnus. Like, he's clearly a really talented batsman. I'm not sure he'll average over 45, but I'll be very surprised if he averages kind of under 35. I think he'll be a pretty reliable person in the batting order.
Samir says, is this the end of Virat Kohli's test career?
A bit amazing if he has like an unbelievable series and then just drops Mike and just goes, I'm done. But I think he just loves the battle too much. I think he loves being that superstar, and I think India still need him in that lineup for the years to come.
I think at least one more World Test Championship cycle. I think it means, I think it actually has given context to Test cricket at the top end. Has given quite a lot of context to it. I mean, Bangladesh and West Indies don't care about finishing 6th, 7th, and 8th. Like, that there's no context there. But I think it does mean something to India and Australia, and it definitely meant something to New Zealand to win the World Test Championship. And I think, given Virat's, not really going to say bottled it, but given the level of talent he has and the number of trophies he has at an international level or a domestic level, RCB fans, you would say there's at least one more go round on the one he's most likely to win.
Yeah, I think you're
Wouldn't
right.
you? Yeah,
I think you're right.
Rohit says, why Kohli and KL Rahul picked in the squad when both of them should be dropped and domestic formers should be in the team?
Well, last time there was proper spinning Bunsen burners. Rohit Sharma dragged India through and beat England almost single-handedly from a batting perspective. KL Rahul, again, he's still a pretty decent player, but yeah, I'm not sure he should be opening batting. But Shubman Gill has to be opening. So yeah, lucky to be in the team if he gets picked.
Cool. And then last one, Mahesh Babu says, do you think a rank turning pitch could backfire on India?
Yeah, as we heard from DJ, I think there is that possibility where you've got maybe 4 spinning options with Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne, Chavis Head, and Nathan Lyon, and plus the other one, so 5. There's any chance. I mean, Joe Root did get a 5 for 8. So yeah, any chance.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen, couldn't it? I think India, big favourite. So, Ross, I think that's enough for this episode. Just a reminder and a thanks to our sponsors back in the game, Manscaped. Use the code
The Cricket Pod for 20% off plus free shipping
at manscaped.com, and head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/The Cricket Pod, for bonus content and to do the thing that you can do, which will keep us in business the most.
Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.